Anyway, what's up YouTube? I went to go shoot this video and something kind of happened, so I had to run, take off, and now I gotta reshoot it again. Okay, so yesterday I did a book haul, or a book review of mostly my Reformed books. That is the collection down there. Those books are next. Those are different Bible versions and Confessions of Faith, Apostles' Creed, the Westminster Confession. You know, those will be the next ones. So, what this is basically, this is my Arminian books, or non-Reformed books. Some of them could possibly be Reformed books, but since I haven't read them yet, I don't know the authors and the titles are kind of ambiguous, I put them in here just to be safe. This would be one of them. This is by, I just got this by Amazon, I think Friday, yeah. I just got this from Amazon on Friday. This would be Predestination and Free Will by David and Randall Basinger. This book was made back in the 80s. So, it's the book right here. Apparently I had this book in my shed and I didn't even know it, and a couple of days after I bought the book I actually saw that I had it in the shed. So this is just like an inspirational or devotional to that book. It's called The Inspiration for the Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. Rick Warren's not too bad, I guess. He's a little bit out there, but Why I Am a Christian by John Stott. I haven't read this yet. I probably, to be honest with you, won't get around to it until next year sometime. I got a bunch of other reads that I want to read other than this. God's Story by Anne Graham Lotz. This is Billy Graham's daughter. Okay, she's pretty good. From what I do know about her, she's not as hellfire and brimstone as Billy Graham used to be. And the problem I have with hellfire and brimstone is it produces, basically, you'll see the Joel Osteen types after that. And the reason why I say it produces them is because a lot of them will say, you know, I'm not going to be hellfire and brimstone. But then they take the message out of the gospel, and then they tend to confuse the law and the gospel, you know, or as Mike Horton calls it, law light. So just that's my big issue with it. Anyway, so The End of Faith by Sam Harris. This is not even a Christian book. This is an atheist book. My friend David actually bought this for me, and we both have the same book. You'll find, his name is David Sarchet. You'll find that if you see him on, DavidSarchet, you'll find if you see his book collection on YouTube, which he just made this morning, you'll see that we have a lot of similar books. We actually buy each other a lot of books. You know, we'll go to bookstores together, whatever. By the way, I'm going to be in the Springs on the 9th, David. We don't have to hit any bookstores or anything, but because I'm going to the Jeff Dunham concert, so I'll hit you up on the 9th when I'm up in Springs, alright? Well, I mean, I'll talk to you before then, but I'll try to see if we can link up or whatever, because I'm going to be there for the night. So if you want to, like, you know, chill at the hotel or whatever, because I'm going to be staying in a hotel for the night and then come back here to Pueblo the next morning. So, The Mind of Christ I think it's by T.W. Hunt. It is by T.W. Hunt. I don't know too much about him. It just kind of looked like an interesting, easy read when I flipped through it. Not all my books are going to be very complicated reads. More of my Reformed books are pretty much the more complicated reads. These are just kind of like something you know, and I know one of my friends is going to get mad because I have specific books in here that I know he's going to like, and he's probably going to get mad that I call them easy reads. But World of Flame by Billy Graham. Billy Graham's a bit dogmatic. I mean, I like him, but he's very authoritative. But it's just not my cup of tea all the time. 90 Minutes in Heaven by Don Piper. Not John Piper. Not John Piper. Don Piper. So, Dr. Bob and the Good Old Timers. Basically, it's a Christian book, but it's about alcoholism. I mean, the book was... When was this made? And look for the Library of Congress here, 1980. So, The Lord by Romano Guardini. This was made, I think, back in the 40s, I think. No, 1932. No, wait a minute. That's not the Library of Congress. I'll go off that. 1954. So, that's Romano Guardini. He's a priest, you know, like an actual Roman Catholic priest. If God Should Choose. This is one of the books that I think might possibly be reformed, hence the title, If God Should Choose. This is actually a book written about a documentary done by Diane Sawyer, and the reason why I like Diane Sawyer, I don't know if she's still alive anymore, but back in the 90s, she did a like 1990, I think it ran from 90 to 91. She actually exposed Robert Tilton and put him on blast. He was one of the biggest TV evangelists of all time, and she tore him down big time. I mean, they went undercover into his ministry, or what he called a ministry, and got them on tape saying all like, here's how they market to new customers and all kinds of stuff. I mean, she tore him up, dude, bad. I sort of almost felt bad for him. Pass It On, another AA Christian alcoholism book. The Road Traveled and Beyond, or The Road Less Traveled and Beyond, a spiritual growth in age, in an age of anxiety, by I think it's Michael Scott Peck, but it just says M. Scott Peck, MD, but I think it's Michael if I remember correctly. I'll try to find out again. Haven't read it. Probably not going to for a very long time, to be honest. A Heretic's Guide to Eternity. Sounds like it's going to be a good book. I'm currently 7 pages into it, and I've already lost interest. It's what he's talking about, Heretic's Guide to Eternity. He's talking about spirituality, which spirituality and Christianity are not the same thing. The God Chasers, haven't read it, but David said it is a horrible, horrible book. So eventually, one year I'll get around to it. This got given to me as a gift, The Disappearance of the Universe. Straight talk about illusions, past lives, religions, sex, politics, and miracles of forgiveness by Gary R. Renard. Got given to me. Does not look like it's going to be something I'm interested in, but I'll try. Charles F. Stanley. I was at God's Solution to Your Life. It's God has a plan for your life, and how to let God solve your problems. It's a 2-in-1 series. David did this guy's really bad. I just kind of wanted it was $5 at a dollar store. I'll get around to it, I think. I don't know. But I'll get around to it. The Christian and the Pharisee by Dr. R.T. Kendall and Rabbi David Rosen. Bought this for obviously $4.99 at my local Christian bookstore. It's called The Greatest Gift. This is basically the kind of book they'll carry. You don't get many Reformed authors like what I like to read there, but that's common in most places. So. Not Chew is Peace by Ali Da. It's basically like a book about Middle Eastern spirituality, sort of like Buddhism, Hinduism, stuff like that. The Butterfly Effect, Everything You Do Matters by Andy Andrews. My mom's book, she just kind of left it here. My mom's into the whole Joyce Meyer, feel good about yourself, T.D. Jakes kind of stuff. I'm just not into it. But my mom's a baby boomer, so that's usually the people that are interested in it, because those preachers are baby boomers. And that's an interesting point, not brought up by me. Brought up by Mike Horton, which, interestingly enough, is a baby boomer that's not interested in that. The Romancing the Globe. Basically talking about spirituality. It's supposed to be a religious book, but more or less a spirituality thing with a couple references to Jesus to make it to where people think it's Christianity. Lifting Our Eyes. This book is about the Virginia Tech shooting. This book was endorsed by Don Piper, sorry, not John Piper, but Don Piper. The 90 Minutes in Heaven that I just showed you a few minutes ago. Really, really sad book. It just to show you, this girl was somebody who was killed. I'll show you the pictures in there. What was her name? Lauren McCain was her name. I'll show you the rest of them. There's only a few more. And then this last one. Do you guys not see, people all the time, you can have your opinion on whether God's real and God's not real. But come on, you guys have got to see the effect of what's going on in this world and the effect of non-belief, and it just... Well, I like to say atheism leads to narcissism, because, in order to believe in a God, you have to, it's not that we are searching for our own meaning and all this other stuff, and that we can't cope with the fact that we're alone here in the universe. First off, we don't know that we're alone. Secondly, it's heartbreaking, because when you have a belief system that tells you that you're it promotes narcissism. It promotes, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. Then we have a problem. And the problem that lies behind that is then we get to say, oh, well, since morality is a subjective thing, we can do what we want. Hence, walk into a school, chain the building shut, and kill a bunch of people. But don't get me wrong, I'm all for self-defense. If I had to shoot and kill somebody, I'd do it, but only if I had to. No, I'm just not going to walk into a school and start bang, bang, bang. He killed a lot of people. But he killed 29 people, injured 25. Just an unnecessary act. Unnecessary, completely. Anyway, Why Children Matter. This is by Joanne Christoph Arnold. I love little kids. So this is basically biblical references to how you're supposed to raise them, and just how you're supposed to bring them into this world. Which is the way the world's turning. I don't even know how you're supposed to bring them into this anymore. I almost want to tell people to stop having kids and let the human race die out. So to eradicate the world of all this. I mean, I know that's cruel, but I'm getting sick and tired of all the stuff that's going on. And then people say, oh, well, there's no, there's no force of evil in this world. And there's no force of good. There's none of that. And I know I'm whitewashing, or not in the term that David will use, whitewashing, but I know I'm whitewashing that a little bit, but there's no Satan, and there's no God. And so that's the justification for all this. He said, then weak morality then becomes subjective. If I really believe, why do I have these doubts? I guess this is more or less kind of a book to when you feel yourself, for lack of better words, backslide, and you feel discouraged about your faith or something. It's something for you to read. Bait of Satan, the workbook. My girlfriend gave it to me. She'll also give me the real book. You'll see it in a minute. Sermon on the Mount by Emmett Fox. AA, Christian alcoholism book. The Empty Pulpit by Clyde Reed. I don't know, haven't read it yet. Very old book. I think it was made back in the 40s or 50s. I checked the Library of Congress. 1967. Free Deism, the Eternal Ancient and New Religion and God Realization. of Baha, or whatever his name is. I don't know. It's going to be Middle Eastern religion, so I have no idea. But we'll just have to, read it and see. The Bait of Satan. This basically talks about like evangelism and stuff like that. I haven't read it yet. I just read the back one, in case you didn't see. Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. Endorsed by Billy Graham and Franklin Graham. And Lee Strobel. Also Max Lucado. Let me turn the volume on my phone down a little bit and see who is texting me so many times that they can't wait for me to finish my video. Well, it's just Twitter, I guess. But The Life Giving Church, Ted Haggard. I got this one for me, but I also got one for David. I know David's a huge Ted Haggard fan. I'm just kidding. I'm not really too big on him, but I figured I'd read his book. Whatever, can't hurt me. America's War on Christianity by Brad O'Leary. That's an apologetic book. And apologetics is basically in defense of the faith, which is actually the name of a book that David has by Cornelius Van Til. By the way, dude, that book is huge, man. I know I ordered it for you, but I seen it on your video, dude. That book is like this thick, man. The Great Apostasy. This is an LDS book. The missionaries told me it wasn't, but it is by Deseret Books. That's the publisher. Deseret Books is an LDS publishing company. So this is going to be The Great Apostasy from the LDS standpoint.